So what happened? Because you're on the verge of being homeless, a little scared, but then you're thinking about your mom and this thing that's in you that you're not going to just stay on the ropes.
Yeah.
And you started a cupcake company.
Yeah.
Wait, did you think of it that way at the time? Like, I'm starting a company, or was it just to make some cash?
No. I was looking for field trip money. I was looking for field trip money and senior dues money. That's how simple my life was.
So what'd you do?
Dave was telling people, you know how much my story is connected to this mission that, you know, they want to give financial peace, and I wanted to be a student. And he was telling people you could have a bake sale or you can have a garage sale and you could get out of debt. And I thought, well, I've sold everything I had to get here, so we're going to have a bake sale. One problem, I don't know how to bake, not even out of a box. Because when I bake stuff out of a box, it still doesn't come out right. And to this day, I'm not really good at baking from a box. Because I'm not a person who wants to follow instructions or go this exact way.
No, not you.
And it's just like, you know, when Duncan Hines put out this picture on the outside of the box, he had instructions. And if you want a version of what the maker said, you have to follow the instructions of the maker.
You have a beautiful story, and it's very inspiring, the way that you went from, you know, on the verge of homeless to listening to God. You have this vision. You know, eventually get to this successful company that's got a great reputation here in Nashville, and now you're in multiple states.
Yeah.
At some point, every entrepreneur has this experience where they go from being the original creator to now leading people. And that's a whole different type of creativity. It's a whole different type. You talked about a muscle that we grow. It's a different muscle that we have to grow. When did you first kind of have this moment where you said, oh, I have to stop making things and I have to lead people?
Yeah. Probably when I needed to, there were crews following me for a show. And I needed to be in Carolina to tape. And I needed to leave the store. And it's like, oh, what's going to happen, you know, now? It was...
You had employees at that point?
I was going to say, and I had employees at that point. So I probably need to even go back before then, because that's when I knew, that was a different place that I knew. That's when I knew I needed to teach. So I guess when I saw leadership, I don't think that I knew it per se. I think God slapped me across the face with it. When people started, the lines started happening. Because I used to do everything by myself. I would get up in the morning at 2:00. The bakery was in my house. So I'd roll out of the bed in another room, walk down the hall, and go into what was my ex-husband's man cave. And work in there. I think it's funny that cupcakes come out of a man cave every day. But it was that my kids, on the night before I opened, and I'll try not to take it too long of a story. The night before I opened, my kids came to me with something behind their back. Said, Mom, we made you something for your new store. It was getting ready to open. It was going to open that next day. And they had a pickle jar. They had decorated this pickle jar, and they wrote tip jar on the outside of it. And they wanted people to pay me because they knew that I wasn't going to really be making any money per se. But when you do good, Mom, people are going to give you a tip. And then this can be your money that you have to spend, you know. And so I cried over that tip jar. And I told them, if you'll come after school every day, and you'll help me clean up, because I would be in there so many long hours cleaning up after my long day. Because I used to be open from like 7 a.m. to like 7 p.m. at that time, just trying to get anybody and be available for everybody. And my children, I said, I'll give you whatever's in the tip jar. And so they were my first employees, and they worked for what was in the tip jar. But when it started being that people were coming and saying, I want to take this to a friend. I want somebody at my whole office to have this. And they were bringing me more business than I can handle. There was a lady who we would see at the coffee shop every day, and she had gotten laid off from her job and she didn't have anything to do. And she said, well, I'm not doing anything. And so she came and she started helping me, and she became
Your first employee.
my first employee, and then ultimately my first manager. And, then there was a girl who came to my store, and she was a chef, and every day when she would get off, she would come and buy a wedding cake cupcake. And she said to me, you can tell how good a bakery is on their white cake because it's basic. There's nothing there to mask it or whatever. And the fact that she was coming there every day, I was like, oh, this is huge. A chef is coming. She became an employee. And so my first employees were always customers that said, dude, girl, scoot over. Let me help you.
It's the best kind. If somebody knows your brand or service or your product, like those we found here, that makes the best employees.
Yeah.
Where they've had their life changed or they've had an experience with us and they want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
That's an alignment with what you do.